good morning, Stock Twits crew. Happy Fatful Friday, y'all. Hope it's been a good week. It's another week trading at all-time highs with this VIX. Been holding up still, Michael. I know we've been seeing a little bit of a drain these past few days. I'm sure you noticed that, but I would say this market, even at all-time highs, has been pretty fruitful. I've been doing well myself. This month is one for the books for me. I'm on a bit of a win streak, so we're doing good there. We're doing good this month, but I'm curious on how you're feeling about this week. We had a lot of earnings come out. I know last week was kind of the kickoff of earnings. This week we got a lot more. We had Google, Tesla, some Mag Sevens. Next
Yep.
week we got a lot more of the Mag Sevens. How are you approaching this market right now at these all-time highs with all these earnings going on?
Well, first of all, stop saying you're on a win streak publicly into a microphone because that is the surest way to end your win streak. So there's just
We'll keep
a
it going,
tip
Try.
from the old man right there, right? Again, I love Wall Street bets. One of their sayings is if it's good enough to screenshot, it's good enough to sell. So just saying, hey, if it's good enough to, you know, good enough to talk about, then you probably take a little break there. But no,
That's
it's
why I'm not gonna trade today.
these markets are definitely one of those, right? Make hay while the sun shine markets because all the junk, all the useless companies that are probably going to zero are all ripping right now, and that's great as long as you don't get caught up. I always say, every time there's this meme stock cycle, you can go back on my Twitter and stock twits and see me saying it over and over again. It's like, go to the meme stock party, have fun at the meme stock party. Don't be the last guy at the meme stock party because just look at AMC and GME and all these things. They all crash. They're all, junk companies for a reason. Doesn't mean they can't double and triple from here first. So, right, have fun. Just have an exit plan.
Agreed. 100%. Yeah, there's opportunity everywhere, right? And
Hmm.
I don't necessarily think it's bad to be taking opportunity in the meme area. Just don't want to stay at the party too long, like you're saying, right?
That's it. It's if
Um,
it's a chart, it's going up. Buy it. Just and George Soros, right? He had the famous thing about I love bubbles. Every time I see one, I run into it as fast as I can because he knows he's gonna have a plan. He's gonna get out when the getting's good, right?
exactly. Yeah, so the S&P and Nasdaq notched fresh record highs yesterday thanks to the upbeat jobless claims data and a wave of optimism for AI and chip stocks. Meanwhile, the Dow lagged, dragged down by healthcare scandals, earnings disappointments, and one big dividend cut. So S&P
Yeah.
ended green, Nasdaq ended green, the Russell ended down 1.38%, and the Dow down just 0.69% there. So yeah, getting dragged down by health, hardware, plastics. UNH down 4.76% as well, which I find super interesting. It's actually been moving now, which has not been the
Finally.
case for a while. Yeah, finally, it's getting some moves. And I don't know about you, Michael Nauss, on something like UNH. When I look at this, and I've heard about all the people buying this, in the past months since that Thursday, May 15th low. When I see this downside, I instantly, it's funny, most people are probably getting scared of this, especially if you've been long from that consolidation. But I would argue I'm liking this almost to go higher later, right?
Hmm.
Personally, like I think this is kind of the drop to get everybody scared, to stop everybody out before we actually maybe end up, trying to go higher here. I'm curious on your thoughts there.
Well, yeah. So I bought some kind of in this range. That I think around 275 or so.
Hmm.
The first time, right, sold a little bit into the pop. I think I still have a little bit. I actually need it's so small. I need to check my broker account to see. But I'm kind of with you. If we were to undercut, especially this wick here, if we were to undercut that a bit and then start to trade back through, I think I'd probably get right back into to my position because,
Exactly.
and I think
Yeah.
it's different doing this on this kind of company than just doing it on like some speculative kind of penny stock that doesn't make anything and doesn't do anything. It's where this is a huge company that makes a whole buttload of money and is kind of systemic to how the U.S. operates. Where okay, so maybe they're not going to make as much if they're not allowed to. If they were scamming people, maybe they're not going to make as much as they did when they were all at all-time highs. But hey, you're down 55% at this point. So are they going to make half as much money? Probably they're going to do a little better than that. So yeah, at some point this becomes a screaming buy. I think picking that point is the hard part, but I'm with you that at some point, you just want to You want to buy a bunch of this, you want to throw it into an account somewhere, and then you want to go back in 10 years' time where it's probably going to be through that all-time high and some.
Agreed. Yeah. And a lot of you know I haven't been really buying individual names or anything. But if I get what I want here, there's nothing saying that it wouldn't really be a long term investment for me, in my opinion. I probably wouldn't trade it like that. It'd be more of like a bigger time frame swing trade in my long term investment account, to be honest. But I'm definitely willing to take some opportunity there. I've been watching UNH for a while, and if I get some spiciness that I like, I'm happy to take part. But I'm gonna let this thing drain down as much as it wants to. Obviously, if we want to go meet those lows at 248, I mean, I'd be fine with it. But we'll see what she wants to do. So I know it was down pretty heavy because the DOJ criminal probe into Medicare billing fraud. WSJ had allegations of upcoding and fabricated diagnosis. Despite this, the stock twits users are extremely bullish on UNH, so I love to see that. And something I've also noticed is, I don't know, you've probably heard of this, Michael, the app Prospero we use. It's showing us a lot of like the internal flow that's going on in some of these stocks, and it's funny.
Hmm.
Institutions are just continuously buying this. The option sentiment is very interesting on it. I actually see it raising up higher and higher as the stock keeps dropping, which I find super interesting. So definitely, I mean, I think there's going to be opportunity there. So we'll keep an eye on it. Nothing for me quite yet, but
Well, it's interesting. One thing I like to do on companies like this, because the short float is very small, right? So it wouldn't show up on any short float scanner because it's 1.5%. But in massive companies like this, a small short float can actually be a big deal because the amount of the shares that are out there. So like a 1.4% short float on this could still be millions and millions of shares. And one thing that's interesting is, right, people have been shorting kind of the entire time here. So far, they've been right. But if you do get that quick move, you can see that it tells you where they've been shorting. And it looks like the majority of shorting kind of took place in this area right here, this kind of 300 zone. So if we start to rally above that pretty significantly, then that could be interesting as well, where you've got some institutions that have to cover. Now, again, very small short float, but it's still like 1 day to cover, which isn't a lot. It's not nothing though.
yeah. Well, and you look at what happens when you hit that 300 spot. It's funny. Look at how much aggression and efficiency in price we had to the downside all the
Hmm.
way until you hit that 300 level, and then it's sideways and you start seeing this buying come in, and there's still some downside, but
Well, it's
it's
funny. You
not
can
it's
see
not
it.
super aggressive.
You can see it right here in the short float data. So that's this chart right
uh,
here. So they were shorting kind of the whole way up, and then it drops, and you can see the short float drops as
yep,
well. So right, so they're starting to cover into this move, and then when we get that bounce, now they're shorting again. So they're looking for
yep,
another wave lower. So if that other wave lower doesn't materialize, then these people have to cover at some point. And it's not a short squeeze that would take us back to highs or anything, but maybe it's enough to put a bit of a floor on it anyway. If there's enough people out there that are short.
agreed. Yeah, some good stuff on UNH. IBM was another stock that was down a lot, 7.62%. Did it have earnings? I think it had
Yep,
earnings.
I
That's
think.
probably why. Yeah. Had earnings. Beat
Ooh,
overall,
what a
but missed on software revenue there. So
It's interesting though if you look at that intraday candle, right? So sold
looks like
off
it's
all
getting bought
morning.
up a bit, huh?
Yeah, got bought up all afternoon there. So that's interesting, right? I always have, there's the whole saying that the amateurs open the market and the professionals close it. And, it's not to disparage anyone, it's just to mean that the large institutions, they're not placing a lot of their orders right at 9:30. They're throughout the day, they're deciding whether or not they're going to buy or sell anything because there's just not enough liquidity for these guys just to hit a button and buy or sell. So the fact that it rallied all day long after that makes me think that there was some amount of institutions that said, you know what, this is a pretty good price. Because although this is like an incredibly boring company for ages, as soon as 2024 started happening, it started to break out. Like this is the monthly chart. It did nothing from this is the 12th or 2012 all the way till 2023. So it's
12
dead.
years, 11
Yeah,
years.
dead stock. And then all of a sudden, 2023, 2024, they start to do pretty well. So this has been one of those like sleeper, like I don't hear anyone talk about IBM and it's up 100% in a couple of years. So Could be interesting. Right? Could be a nice little dip buy opportunity on it.
Well, there is one guy that agrees with you, and that is talking about it, and that's Dan Ives. He said buy the dip.
Oh,
It's a play on the
well,
hybrid AI growth, so
it's
maybe
interesting.
something there. Dow was down 17.45% on earnings here, cut dividend. Missed on adjusted EPS, quarter two net loss despite steady revenue, minus $10.2 billion. Jeez,
Yeah, this
that's
is another
wild.
one.
Intel posted a loss, but Outlook lifts bulls. It was flat after hours. Quarter two revenue beat estimates. Net loss of 2.9 billion, nearly double year over year. Forecast strong quarter three, 12.6 billion to 13.6 billion revenue range, but they cut 15% of their workforce, reduced tariff impact. The retail sentiment is extremely bullish despite the red close, but some interesting stuff on Intel. What's that chart looking like?
A nightmare, a mess
Yeah,
and a nightmare.
a
But
choppy nightmare.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I talked about this on Monday when I did my show there. Is that there's a lot of these I've been noticing low bases that are finally resolving higher. So I talked about this like speculative name. There's something going on here with what's this boats exchange? What's going on there? Yeah, with like this guy. So this is one, just again, full disclosure, I own a bunch of it. But this is, I just use it as an example because this is what I've been seeing more and more of is you take the companies that had gotten absolutely killed and 2022, 2023 during that bear market, if they just survived, a lot of these didn't, right? And this is a D-SPAC. A lot of these SPACs didn't, right? Bird and bodybuilding.com. There was tons of these SPACs that just went completely to zero. But the ones that have held and are finally starting to break out, this seems to be the move. So I'm wondering if maybe Intel in the future is going to put in a little bit of the same thing where it's gotten just killed and then frustrating, which is a Brian Shannonism that I love, which is if they don't scare you out, they'll wear you out. And this is one of those wear you out type of scenarios where you're now from a year of nothing. It's pretty much the exact same price it was a year ago. So everybody's just getting mad and frustrating here. They're burning off a lot of that option premium for people who are trying to YOLO the dip that way. And then if we end up breaking this 26 area, which we're a long way away, maybe that's the recovery. So that's what I'm watching. I've got an alert set, and if it ever gets back up here, I might be buying some of that and adding it to my long-term portfolio.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that consolidation, it can get you. I like to stay away from it as long as possible until we get like some real confirmation, you know what I mean? Of okay, and now I'm like actually willing to put this in. Similar to Tesla, actually, Tesla had this, and I actually thought we were gonna break down from it on that daily chart. Where was it? It was that right before the yeah to the left there. That consolidation at the low of the range. I thought we were gonna break
Yeah. Oh
down.
yeah.
Right there, yeah, and we ended up breaking above it, and now we're just doing the same thing, holding above that, right? And I
Yeah.
thought earnings would give us a little bit of a catalyst to get going, but obviously that didn't do anything. So
Well, I'm just seeing it over and over again in these names, right?
yeah,
This,
look at that.
just get clobbered and then stop going down for like a year. Like, I'm not saying stops goes down for a couple days or a week or something, but holds on for like a year. Like, this is another one that
Hmm.
I've owned and it did the same thing, right? This thing
Look
got
at that, yeah.
right from $6 down to a buck and has spent 3 years in that range. And then as it was breaking out, I was buying it around here, this FTech name. And I
Yeah.
just, it just looks like the move because there's so many. And again, you can go to the ones that didn't survive. So I think it's one of those, if I have to talk to, old people in my family all the time. They're always asking about Bitcoin, right? And they're like, give me your strongest case for owning Bitcoin. And I know they're not going to understand like the whole, blockchain, limited supply, blah, blah. I just say, listen, they've tried to kill it like 5 times and they can't. And that to me is the strongest bull case for Bitcoin. And that's kind of, I think, what we're seeing in some of these names. Again, I just keep bringing up this one because it just looks textbook.
It's good.
Is you find something that they desperately tried to kill and you stay out of it this whole time because it's not doing anything. It's dead money. And then when it goes, great. Then you're like, okay, now potentially if we hold this breakout, this thing could go to the 20s or the 30s or whatever. And yeah, the more the market does that, the more I see these things happen, the more I'm very, very interested in them.
100%, yeah. Something to keep an eye on. We got some big pops and drops that happened. Chipotle down 14% on mixed results, but retail held bullish there. I don't know what that chart's looking like, but oh, nice
Uh,
drop. Yeah, down in that
that's-
daily range.
so it'll be interesting to see if that holds because
Yeah.
that's been a big range. I think, but the Rockstar CEO of Chipotle is Starbucks now, right? That's isn't it? Isn't it that the guy who made this run in Chipotle, he's over at Starbucks? I thought that was the
You might be right. I'm not 100% sure if I'm being honest.
so I just wonder how much of that move was him being a genius and how much of it was just, the business model kind of working the way it worked. So I always look at those things and say, hey, do we does it make sense to look at something like a CMG now that the guy who built it? I always worry that like when the dude who caused what four
All
dollars
of
to
that, yeah.
40, right? And
Steps away. That's
he
scary.
steps away. It's like yes, the new guy could do it, but I don't know. This is just it seems like it's hanging on an edge. So at least you know where you're wrong, right? If we start trading into the low 40s, then you've taken your shot and you're probably wrong. It's probably time to go. And any trade that you know that you're wrong, I'm usually fine with.
Yeah, agreed. We had Tesla down 8% on week quarter two, but Weedbush sees AI story. And we didn't drop much. I mean, 8%, not much for Tesla.
Isn't
And we're
that
just in the
insane?
consolidation range, to be honest. What's up?
Well, it's just insane that $8 is not a lot for Tesla, considering
I
it's
know.
it's like such a huge company. Generally speaking, if this was like, some retailer or something they didn't care about, and you say, oh, 8%, it's no big deal. I'd be like, I'd agree with you. But it's just it's a huge company. It's such a huge part of the overall index that you think 8% should be a big deal. But I always say,
I know.
if you've signed on to own Tesla with as insane as Elon is, you've just signed on to enjoy the ride, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the investment. I knew that going into, but
Yeah.
like, it's part of the investment there, and you gotta sit through it while those crazy times happen, right? In the hopes that one day we pop off far enough that none of that matters. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we're right back in that consolidation range on Tesla. Really not
Yeah, it's
nothing
two
too crazy.
percent. It's 2% of the S&P 500. So the
Yeah,
fact that it could move that much, and yeah, it's just crazy. Because if you look at the rest of these, an 8% move, I'm going to list you some names. An 8% move in any one of these would be a big deal, right? Nvidia, Nvidia moves 8%. The market is panicking. Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Meta,
100%.
and Google. We know the rest. And yeah, the fact that it can move 8%. Everyone's like, that's a normal Tesla day. It's crazy when you think about it.
Agreed. We had LVS crushed earnings with a 36% revenue jump in Singapore. This is the first like earnings that I saw last night that absolutely crushed. Besides, I know Google did well, I think, unless it rugged this morning. But LVS absolutely ripping. What does that chart look like, Michael Nauss?
That actually looks really nice, getting close to these prior highs at 53 or so. If it can break those, we're talking about right. And the next high being 63. And I think this always bodes well for China, right? Because LVS I know does a lot over there. So if we go to FXI, we see FXI breaking out of these potential highs right here, and I think that just if they're YOLOing, they're gambling a lot more. I don't think it could be bad for the overall China economy, and then any sort of deal that gets made could rocket us here.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. We had TMU percent rallied on raised 2025 guidance. That's is that T-Mobile
Yep,
or is that
T
that's
TM
T-Mobile, right? Yeah.
yeah TMUS. This
Nice,
is
nice pop. I mean, we got all that low resistance liquidity on our heads above there. Yeah, all that. Yeah, that trend line. I mean, if we're gonna run it, we run it to the top of that resistance, in my opinion, which is those highs. So,
270. And this one pays you a fat dividend while you wait too,
boom,
right? So this is one of
boom.
those. I know there's a lot of people that got so lucky with AT&T because they were buying AT&T down here because the dividend was astronomical at that price. And then all of a sudden, a lot of these names got kind of carried away with all the space names. I know AT&T and ASTS are they kind of move together. They've got some sort of story going on there. So yeah, the fact that you're seeing that, That looks great. Yeah, these were dead names, just like we talked about. We're seeing a lot of this where names that have been dead for ages are now coming back to life. Like this is, yeah, probably 4 years about nothing, and then a nice little pop here. So it's a good look.
What else we got? We got Oklo all-time highs after nuclear data center deals and regulatory win. Let's go.
Yeah,
That nuclear,
Oklo's.
those nuclear stocks going crazy, huh?
I've got my NLR hitting new all-time highs. Again, this is a great
Yeah.
diversified way to play it. And then I also own SMR just because it's been kind of best of breed for a while here. And this one's been harder to hold. So I guess I had some markings here. These are old. But yeah, so as soon as this thing broke, right, you're talking $10 to 50. These look good, but the thing I like about NLR is you have the boring names as well, right? You have uh, CCJ and CEG, and then I think you even have uranium as the commodity in there. So you're getting some exposure to the nuts dudes. Those again, just saying small, like portable nuclear reactor terrifies me. So the fact these are going is great, but I just like having a bunch of cash in here just because it's working so well, and I'm not worried about this thing going to zero overnight, even if a lot of those small names get killed because it's got so many big ones in there.
What else we got? Ooh, AAL. They beat Q2, but down 7%. Weak quarter three guidance. Um, those airlines, huh? I thought I thought we did all the airlines already, to be honest.
They're fun to trade, but it's such a horrible investment. Like
I
it's such a
know.
bad business. Like look at this is the Jets ETF, so this is a culmination of them. And just imagine trying to hold any of these. It's just the business is so rough. Same thing I always say with Bitcoin miners. It's like you've got this massive capital intensive business that if you get one move in oil, like some of them just go bankrupt, right? If people just stop traveling for any reason, people just go bankrupt. It's just
Yeah.
a yeah, it's not a business I'm interested in owning. I trade them, but I'm not going to hold them for any length of time. So
I agree. They can be really good traders to find some, whether it's a swing trade or day trade. I definitely think there's times where they have catalysts and they can be very good intraday
yeah.
traders, but I'm definitely not investing in any airlines. If I was, though, probably be Delta out of all of them if I was.
I would just
But
pick the strongest one. And yeah. So
I'd pick
that
the strongest one that I use the most, you know?
so like this is
So
a stronger one, but still
still,
just
it's like, yeah, look at it. Consolidation, man.
just
It's
hard. And
you,
yes,
you
a
guys hear me talk
dividend,
about
but
it all the time. I'm like, assets that are forever trending or forever in consolidation, and like airlines seem to be more in that area of forever consolidation rather than the markets, in a
yeah.
forever trend. So tough to find opportunity there. We had ServiceNow report as well, up 7%, blew out quarter two on AI tailwinds. So I'm sure they said AI 1,000 times in that call. People love it. Good for ServiceNow. I mean, that's been a good company. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Michael, but it
It's
looks like it came back in a bit. Not really holding
yeah,
the move too much.
kind of the opposite of what we said with IBM, right? Is that
Yeah.
IBM reported bad and then they just started buying it the whole time. This one reported good and they've just been dumping it the whole time. So I think the level on this is pretty clear. So what's that, like $1,000, pretty much even. You can see
Hmm.
a strong close above that, 1,000, 1,050, something like that. Maybe you're going to take that shot at highs. I just think there's stronger things, right? So I own this hack ETF, and this is a lot of the. I know that's not cybersecurity, but a lot of these cybersecurity software names are moving around the same time, and it's just like why buy? I don't know why buy something that when they report good earnings they get sold. So yeah, I need to see that reverse and hold pretty substantially pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm with you. We had MBLY raised FY revenue forecast amid chip demand surge. I have not looked at this name in a long time, but I know this
Okay.
name has gotten smoked.
Yeah,
So,
gap up and crater because this is a lot of, they've got still their baggage from being Intel, right? Intel spun these guys off, and that's not a candle you want to see on earnings. So right, you sucker in all the people who play right after earnings, and as soon as it opens up, the liquidity opens up, and the big guys start to get involved, they just hammer it down not only below, closed the gap, but below yesterday's low, below this little base right here. Yeah, that's not a candle that I like to see if I was holding this name. I'd be probably
Yeah,
killing it right there.
I agree. Yeah. Trump visited the Fed to talk foundations. President Trump dropped by the Federal Reserve building renovations to complain about costs. He even handed Powell a markup of the project costs, only to be told he was reading outdated numbers from his own administration. Oh, buddy. What
This
do we have?
is this is the
Michael Nauss.
tweet. This is the tweet, right? So it's right. This is downtown Josh Brown. So this is just going viral because it's hilarious, but they're all just trying to pretend what they sent them, and then it's this one. 50 basis points or El Salvador. And then even
Oh,
I don't know
gosh.
if you watched the whole thing, but even on the way out they were saying, "Hey, is anything J Powell could say to you to make you feel better?" And he's just basically said, "Oh, well, if he said he's going to cut rates, that would make me feel better." But it was just like I was tweeting stuff like we're living in a simulation because this just makes
Bro, this gives me the energy, like this whole video, this whole thing gives me the energy of an episode of The Office. This just
yes.
this just reminds me of an episode of The Office that we've never seen before, and it's newly released.
Well, and you just look at this and you remember they're like when you're a kid, you always remember thinking, as soon as I'm an adult, I'll have all this figured out, it'll all make sense. And then you look at the adults in the room and you're like, oh,
We don't have shit figured out.
yeah. Like this guy's, he's like,
Uh,
he's handed him, and if you believe Jay Powell, he was saying, oh, we built this building like 5 years ago that you're including in it. And it's just, yeah, none of it makes any sense, but it's fun to laugh at. And this is why I'm a quant, because at the end of the day, I'm going to trade whatever my robot tells me to trade
no.
and kind of ignore it. So it allows you to have more fun with it. I would not want to be in a trading mindset where I actually cared what any of these guys say because they're all hilarious to me. It's
Agreed.
crazy.
Yeah, some crazy times we're living in right now, man. M&A update. Late Thursday, FCC approved the Paramount Skydance merger. The long-awaited entertainment deal is officially a go. So, good stuff for Paramount there. I don't know. I haven't looked at that chart. Let's take a look.
Usually the acquirer gets, so they're buying who? ByteDance?
It was a Skydance merger.
I've never even heard of Skydance, so good
Yeah,
for them.
I don't know,
It's
but good
funny
stuff.
and this is kind of like what I was talking about with these low bases, right? So if you look at it, we're at the same price we were in September 2023. So if you get a strong breakout from this, like these are the kind of turnaround plays that I'm more interested in. I'm not buying this whole way down. I'm not buying the crash down. I'm waiting for that accumulation phase, and then I'm hopefully buying on the way back through. If I can get on the way back through, that's what I'm interested in. So this one's kind of interesting to me, and you kind of have to ignore all of this because this was that hedge fund manager that just YOLO'd his entire life into it was like Paramount and another other company. He basically would buy the company and it would go up, and then he would take out margin loans on the gains he had and buy more of the company, and he caused this huge, like he was just leveraged insanely. So when it crashed, that was the hedge fund blowing up. But yeah, and now it's kind of based around here. It's interesting. What are we talking about for short float? Para short interest. 13%, and it's been rising, so they've been shorting as it's been going up here. That's kind of what I like to see. So yeah, if it sticks the landing here, might be one to watch.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on.
Just checking
What
here on
else
the
we got?
SPY. We got 2 minutes till the open. We're right in
Yeah.
the. So I just marked the PM high and the PM low. We're kind of right in the middle of that. And again, we've got no earnings we really care about. I don't think we have any economic numbers really that are a big deal today. No, they're all done.
No,
So just yeah, be careful out there because you don't want to go crazy on a Friday.
it's not worth it. It's
You know what I
not worth
mean?
it. I've done
Friday
it.
in July, no numbers, no earnings. Yeah, just take your time.
Kick back and chill. There is that bell.
We are open. So yeah, right in the
Yeah.
middle of yesterday's range. So this is one of those that, right, if I just look at it's one of those wake me if and when we break that price or that price, yesterday's high or yesterday's low, wake me up then. Until then, leave me alone.
Exactly.
I'm not interested.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit dropped to these overnight lows on NQ. ES has not dropped to those yet, but we're trying to sweep them on NQ. I'm going into the morning. I'm interested to see if we get some aggression to try and get to these overnight highs. So that's what I'll
Yeah.
be kind of expecting and looking for going into the morning here, but also probably won't be trading because I just don't have much reason to put risk on in the market, to be honest, on this Friday. I don't have much reason, so I'm not going to force anything.
Well, not
Not
only
worth it.
in these highs in the market, but these in the market at this particular time during the summer, during, right? There's just a whole bunch of things that are just lined up here to say, you know what, it's probably not the move. We need to kind of just chill here and wait for something to occur. And that I find is as easy and kind of brain dead as it sounds. That's the hardest thing for most traders, I think, is just to say, it's not the day, right?
Yep.
And it's not the day to be going nuts here.
I think what we forget a lot of the time too is if you if you blow your account, you're probably just gonna refund it.
Yeah.
And if you blow a funded account, you're probably just gonna buy another one anyway. And so like when you're thinking about that, it's like, okay, why would I sit here and oversize on these positions and willingly like do actions that are gonna blow this account when no matter what, like I'm gonna be spending money and buy another one. So might as well just follow my freaking rules.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't get it. No matter what, you're gonna there's always another day to trade too, of course. Like I've seen so many people, you take a loss and people just can't sit with the loss for the day and you end up blowing an account because you need to trade that more. And then the next day, the perfect setup that you would have wanted comes, and it's like, bro, you didn't have to blow that account. It's just it takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of like, oh, you got to sit through a red day sometimes. It's okay.
Hmm.
I just think it's tough, but got
Yes,
to
if
have
you
that
take
mindset of like not getting satisfaction from making money.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, right? We're programmed, and we're also there's a big thing in trading that I think screws everyone up, in which we're programmed that the harder we work and the more we do, the better off we'll be. And that is true in trading, but not in the way most people think, in which most people think that means more trading, but it actually means more, looking at looking at different set studies or back testing or journaling or any number of things you can do that isn't
All the
trading.
boring stuff that traders don't want to do,
Yeah,
that stuff.
that's the stuff you should be spending most of your time doing, and that will actually really help you out in the grand scheme of things. Where yeah, doing nothing is sometimes really hurts us. So it's like, take that energy, and that's great that you want to do stuff, but just point it in the right direction, right? Just point it over to different areas that isn't risking money, right? Because that's the way you got to look at it. Is every time you hit the button, you're risking money. So the question shouldn't be, is this a trade that I think could make me money? Is this worth me putting on risk for, right? And if it's not worth you putting on risk for, just get out, right?
Yeah, I don't even, to be honest, I don't even think about profit or anything like that when I'm trading. I only think about the risk because I know I'm going to make a certain risk to reward on pretty much every given trade.
Hmm.
So all I need to do is worry about the risk and the reward will come. Um, we got
Him's
some
here
data
is a
coming
bit
out today,
interesting.
by the way, too.
Oh,
Just
do we?
wanted to throw that out there. I believe so. Oh, we have durable good orders coming out, and then I think there was, no, that's about it, it looks like,
Okay.
for this week. On my calendar, at least.
Just watching this hymns a little bit, right? When you think like gapping up, almost filling the gap, put in such a tight range yesterday, makes me think if we kind of break out today. I've got this set up in the bot for if we can kind of turn and move higher here.
I
And then
love the bot trading, Michael Nauss. It's been so good.
it's
I'm sitting
changed.
every day, like focusing on my manual trading, and then I'll get an alert, and I'm like, oh, I'm long this or I'm short this, and I
Hmm.
didn't even know, and it's doing it for me. It's a blessing. I absolutely love it. You were
It
a little bit of an inspiration there, getting me
good.
to do that. So I appreciate you.
No, anything I again I'll want a mission to convert people to systematic trading. I think there's a big
Me too
resistance
now.
to it because right people, and I think that's just another emotional thing of people wanting to be right themselves. Like they want to be
Yep.
able to say, I did the analysis and I hit the button and I made money and I was right, and that makes them feel good. Whereas for me, it's it just I'm right when the system I developed and back tested and spent all the time and energy in is working. And I don't need to be right on hitting the button and taking the trade. Just over the long run, if the system runs, that's great. Like I've taken like 4 trades today, great, because it's just how she, it's just
Dang, you're
going.
already 4 deep.
Oh yeah, just ping, ping, ping. Well, because you're doing futures, right? But I'm doing equities,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. So
there's
yeah, ton of setups. You
I
got
could take
setups all day long, every day.
well, we could go through it's this list right here. So there's potential 40 different trades that could take place on any of these names. So all of these
Wow.
have kind of associated orders with them, and you can not that one. Uh, but you could see, right, a lot of them are, and that's why I'm doing a lot of kind of fading and mean reversion and all of that to this, because a lot of these are either stocks that have gotten killed that I think if they move lower, they're good buys, or stocks that have ripped, and if they move higher, they might be good shorts, and then just playing that kind of market making style, because all this is day trading, right? I've got a whole other bots for swing trading and whole other bots for investing, but for the day trading stuff, yeah, it's very much a let me play the market maker game the same way, buy things that are going down, sell things that are going up, in the middle net, try to pull a couple bucks off with some momentum stuff like hymns, and a little bit.
Hims
Oh,
has been a killer.
yeah.
That thing is going.
So yeah, it's
Oh, is that 2x leveraged?
oh yeah, hymns with a Z if you want
Oh,
to
I
go
didn't know
crazy
they.
with it.
Wait, I don't know if I've ever seen that one actually. I'm
Hymns with
surprised.
a Z, you can
Hims with a
leverage up
Z.
the crazy one. And yeah, if we get through this area, we got this whole gap above, and that would be like a double for this. So it's these kind of really tight flag patterns that I'll actually look to trade momentum. The rest of my day trading, it's just, yeah, it's all mean reversion. It's all mean reversion stuff, like buy dips, sell rips, over and over and over again.
Yep, really good stuff. This market trying to take a dive lower on NQ. ES still holding up really well. Looks like the stronger asset this morning so far. Kind
Yeah.
of doing this consolidation base that we've been seeing on a lot of higher time frames with some of the stocks we've talked about. Just doing that on NQ on the 1 minute here. So
So yeah, we
interesting
have
morning. Oh, the
this
heat
is
map.
the heat map. So the sectors, insurance and weed, those are what's up today. Down, we've
Uh,
got what psychedelics and Bitcoin. So yeah, you had to pick your drug wisely today in order for it to go.
yeah, that MSOS, crazy name. I remember who was it? Andrew from our stock picks. That's where I heard it from
Yeah.
first. It was him.
Oh, I'm excited to get back to those. I think next week. Next week I can pop back in. It's just like finding time around all the craziness that the kids are doing.
Yeah.
Is swim lessons and this and that and the other thing. But I think Monday's open up next week. And there's another same thing I've been talking about. I've been ranting about here is these low bases. Right? Are we putting in one here? And again, you're when I'm saying these low base, I'm not thinking that this thing's ever going to get back to all the way up here. There's no
No.
shot. But
No.
if you put in a base like this and you break out and say you go to even where it was back here, that's like a 30% gain. And then what is it? MSOX, if you're insane, you can do that. MSOX. What's this boats ETF? What am I missing here?
I have no idea. I've seen that a few times.
Or this boats exchange. I need to look at this when we're done because
Not sure.
it keeps defaulting to that. But yeah, this is the same, right, triple leverage kind of thing. And if it got back to that same zone, that's 100% gain. That's nuts.
Yeah. It's huge.
So there's areas of the market, and I think as the market moves higher, this is the rotation that we talk about all the time, where you have that rotational aspect of bull markets, where you have XYZ company moves higher, everyone makes a lot of money, they're super happy, and then they take the money and they got to do something with it, right? If you had Nvidia and you 10x your money on Nvidia, you're going to take that money, you're going to do something with it. So what you might start doing is you might start looking for names that are starting to get hot stories that There's that whole kind of human condition of I want to buy low and then sell high. Well, if you take a look at something like that and you say, well, that's low. So if we break out of there, then, maybe we'll move from there. So again, what is this boat ETF or boat exchange? Same thing, right? So again, I just keep bringing this one. Just want to remind people, I own this, so I'm not pumping it. I'm telling you guys I own it, but it's just such picture perfect where it's done nothing for years, has a nice strong breakout, pulls back, and you can actually do, let me grab this, and these are setups as old as time. So we look up Wyckoff accumulation.
Oh, this is what I trade.
The Wyckoffs?
That's all I trade basically.
Yeah, so this is the
AMD, baby, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. This is the way the markets move every day on every time frame.
and this is Richard Wyckoff would hang out with Charles Dow. Like, so you're talking these patterns are hundreds of years old. So it's not just some, hot TikTok dude, whatever. It's like
This
it's
is what the market's built off of, essentially.
right.
I mean,
You've got the
you
little
see this.
he called it a spring. Some people call it liquidity grabs or bear traps or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you've got some huge low base, and this is where your I like this chart right here. So this is I think of accumulation area. This is where your value investing nerd buys, right? He's done his cash flow analysis on, this outlet stock, and he says, okay, well, it was ridiculous at 50, but, at like $5 is probably worthwhile. And this is where your value guys invest. And then when you get the breakout, you start to get the markup, and this is where kind of trend traders and trend followers invest. So this, according to this accumulation, is right here, and you can take this and just see how, I don't even know if it'll let me do it, how picture perfect you see some of these.
Yep.
Right? So it's the
Look at that.
exact, right, the breakout, and then the base around after the breakout, and then potentially the next leg higher. And then if you look at, we were talking about MSOS, right, we haven't had that breakout yet, but that's potentially a way to play this. Is this just, right, we take a look at this, right? Is this just this kind of accumulation phase? So are we right here in this accumulation phase and we got to move lower again? Or, right, have we done the whole accumulation? We're just waiting for that breakout to occur. And then you ride the markup, because as this starts to break out, then you start getting CNBC talking about it. You start getting, it starts to pick up everywhere. That causes that nice uptrend. And then you just got to make sure that you remember the rest of the Wyckoff phase, which is the distribution area, and then you get out. And for that, I always like to use like Peloton and Zoom and all these things for an example. Right? There's your accumulation, here's your markup, there's your distribution, and there's your get the hell out. So either you're selling up here because it just stops moving, or right, you get out on this first kind of gap down and you say that's it. And then maybe, who knows, you're starting that accumulation phase again in Peloton. And right, doesn't, again, we're not saying the cycle is going to take us way back here, but they were pricing Peloton to go bankrupt. So maybe this was the base on Peloton, and you're saying, okay, it was priced right here, like it's not going to exist anymore. Maybe it's going to exist. Maybe it's not a $150 stock, but maybe it's going to kick around for a bit. So it goes from 2 to 20 over time, and it hangs out at, that's where it exists forever. That's a insane return.
Yeah, some crazy stuff. It's funny that Wyckoff stuff. I mean, that is literally what I'm doing on every single given day. Obviously, adding in like your big levels, like previous day highs and lows, overnight highs and lows, previous week highs and lows, things like that.
Yep.
But that's essentially what I'm doing, even like on an intraday time frame. It's funny too that picture you show. It's funny. I'm sure people in the audience were thinking the same thing. This is, guys, for all those people that know ICT. This is like ICT before it was ICT, right here. This is the oldest understanding of the market, in my opinion, and how liquidity is moving in the market.
And not to pick a bunch of fights, unlike ICT, who's never made a dollar trading, Wyckoff was loaded. And you can watch some of those. If you want to go deep, you can look at some of those exposed videos on that ICT guy. And he keeps entering these trading competitions and evals and blowing up his account like instantly, going into 99.9% drawdowns. But it doesn't mean that his principles don't work, because he just copied Wyckoff, right? And again, this is, you're talking these
if
guys.
they didn't work, I wouldn't make any money for sure.
Exactly.
Like I would be broke. So like it definitely works, but it's what I learned originally was not necessarily ICT, it was Wyckoff, right? And
Yeah.
so
And
building
it's
it off that is huge for me. It's a big part of
well,
my
and it's the
trading.
whole. There's one of my favorite sayings in the market is right. There's no gurus, only cycles, right? So Wyckoff came along and made a bunch of money for himself and a bunch of money for other people, and kind of passed down what it is that he did and his whole thing. And, fast forward 200 years later, some other dude on the internet picks it up and calls the things different things, but then kind of repackages them and goes from there. It's the same as a lot of the candlestick patterns were invented, like a couple hundred years ago by a Japanese samurai dude, and they're still being used today. They change the names of some of them and move them around, but it just shows that the market just moves based off of psychology, right? It's not earnings or news or anything like that. It's positioning and psychology. So you can see those things inside these charts. So it's not that this is any sort of magic, you know, astrology pattern or anything. If you look at it, it's just say, okay, stop going down for a while, right? Kind of sucked in some shorts and stopped out some longs. And that is how large institutions accumulate, because they can't just buy on the way up like we can. And then when you get that break to the other side, you're off to the races. So that's what I love about trading is it's fractal, and again, it's there's no magic here, right? You can just explain all of this with psychology and liquidity, positioning, all that kind of stuff. It's just great.
That right there, you said price is fractal. It's so true. I get this question all the time. People ask, Jordan, like, what's the best time frame for me to intraday trade on? What's the best time frame for this? What's the best time frame? There is no best time frame for anything, in my opinion. It all
Yeah.
has to be in context. It all has to be in context with the higher time frame, right? Is your lower time frame analysis aligning with the higher time frame model that's currently playing out, right? It's not a matter of what's the best time frame. It's a matter of are you aligning time frames or not, in my opinion, right? There is no best time frame, in my opinion. So,
And a great book from a friend I know of StockTwits, Brian Shannon, which is technical
oh yeah,
analysis using
shout
multiple
out.
time frame. It's an old book, but yeah, the idea is the same way. Is you got to look at what are you trying to predict, right? If you are a day trader, you're trying to predict ideally the rest of the day. Quite often the next couple hours or whatever. So that's should answer your time frame. If you're trying to pick the rest of the day, you're trying to find some understanding of where this candle is going to close at. You should keep an eye on the daily chart. What you're using intraday doesn't really matter too much, but like you're saying, you keep an eye on that higher time frame, you keep an eye on that chart, and then you find your setup on the intraday and using whatever time frame you want. And if you're an investor, you're trying to predict, like the next month or so. So you should be paying attention to that chart. If you're a swing trader, you're probably trying to predict roughly the next week. So make sure you're staying tuned there as well. And yeah, just going through. But yeah, I'm a time frame switcher. You can see it when I navigate my charts, right? For me, like 30 minutes is probably as low as I go but you see me go to the 2 minute all the time because I just want an understanding of what's happening. And yeah, you switch around and you make sure they all agree. So like right now, we are in a range. We haven't done anything since we've opened. And if you look at it on the daily chart, we're inside yesterday's range. So it makes sense that we're in a range here, right? And you can kind of use this to gather bias or whatever you want to call it. But the main thing is just to say, until we break this high or we break this low, I don't trust anything. I don't trust the rallies. I don't trust the sell-offs. I don't trust anything. And then you just take that and you just kind of sit back and wait for one of those ranges to kind of revolve in one way or the other. And maybe to the upside we're looking at here, but we got a big zone to break for sure.
Yep, some good stuff. Well, this market's just chilling out, not doing too much here. Getting a little bit of a pop from those lows. Got London high, resting, Asia high is the all-time high, I think. Yeah, right now. So see if we want to trade back to there. But I mean, every morning these past few weeks, it's been that morning dip to end up being bought and trade higher later. So I won't be surprised if that was just another morning dip to trade higher into these overnight levels again. It's been that over and over. So I'm not trading though. Nothing for me. It's been a great week. I don't really want to put on risk.
Just looking at some
Yeah,
of
I just have
these
no reason
high
not to.
flyers, these open. What was the other one that went? Because if these things are down, which they are, I know KOD was ripping. I'm in this one. Pay attention to these guys, the ones that have been going crazy all week, all the high short float names out there. Because if they're starting to sell off, it just means that people are done. They've had their fun, right? And it's time to move on. If you get another resurgence in this where open kind of holds up and starts moving higher, I think that's, we talk about psychology all the time. That's a good kind of psychological front to say, all right, we're finally moving here, so we can get moving with the overall market and start to push higher. Speaking of, HIMS here is starting to potentially light up. Maybe I was just seeing here on like a 2-minute chart. Sold off in the morning. This yellow line, I always like. This is a 2-day VWAP, so this is yesterday and today's VWAP combined. We came right there and we held that, and now we're looking to move higher. So maybe some signs of life out there, but no earnings, no real economic data. There's some, but nothing crazy. It is July. It's the end of July.
Boom. London High just got hit. Dang.
On the Qs.
Big move. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Qs are ripping. The SPY's not moving.
Yeah, SPY's stuck. Not taking out that London High quite yet.
So if we
Asia High is 441 on NQ, another 100 points higher almost.
Yes, that's why hitting the heat map, we can see more coming in, right? We've got healthcare popping a bit. Burke, when you see Burke, you can almost think finance at that point is moving higher. Most of Burke is financial stuff. So I just bought a bunch of things.
Nice.
Woof. Bought some Woof. I don't know what this is, but yeah, that's a pretty decent sell-off there in Woof. So I picked up some of that dude. And what's this other one? MFH. Oh, yeah, interesting. Trying to play the momentum on that one. So, yeah, there's some trades coming through. But just for reference, I think the last time when we were here with Shay, I had done like 20 trades by now. And I'm up to like 6. So,
okay,
just showing,
so a different Friday for sure.
Yeah, and that's the fact that, right, a lot of what I'm doing is I'm looking for mean reversion on kind of overextended moves for the day trades. And when you have a market that's inside yesterday's range and isn't really moving too much, even though you get the Qs that are moving a bit, but we're still inside yesterday's range, that's going to just curb the trading for me. So it's just like no different from normal traders that are just trading discretionarily. My bot is looking for something to happen. And if there's nothing to happen, there's no trades to make. So
yeah. Great stuff, Michael. Well, it's been a great morning. We got the Friday to trade through. I'm going to be kicking back, letting this market do its thing. But a nice pop to start the morning, and we'll see if this market wants to keep resulting in higher prices into the end of the day. But it's been a great week, y'all. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, got some good trades in. Hopefully, if you are trading this Friday, you're doing well and following your plan. But I think we're going to wrap up for the morning. But Michael, if you had any last thoughts you wanted to throw at the audience.
No, I just couldn't agree with what you said more, right? It's end of July. It is Friday. These are going to get slower and slower, and you just want to make sure that you're not doing the thing where you're swinging for the fences all the time. And just because we're saying don't trade, we're not saying don't work, right? Sit down, go through everything that happened this week and try to put a piece together of what you could do better, all that kind of stuff. And then take trades later, right?
Absolutely.
Short up now, so you're a better trader come Monday when things are actually moving.
Agreed. 100%. I used to spend all weekend back testing, hours and hours. I would back test like weeks of price action just so I could be like super confident on Monday, So
yeah. It's
definitely what you got to do. But appreciate the audience. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the StockTwits channel as always. And we'll be back next Friday. Me and Michael Nauss and Katie and Shai will be on throughout the week next week. So we'll see you guys then. Enjoy the Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Have a great one. We'll see you guys later.